Good morning, my friends, and happy Tuesday. I am so honored to have you here for another installment of one of Internet's favorites, Mornings with Marcel and Friends, coming to you live from the lands of the Lenahumpking people, the land of the Lenape. We pay our respects to Native and Indigenous Native Americans, past, present, and emerging. I am your amazing, talented, humble host. I'll be with you until 9:30. Just a serious, tough news to share. My girl Victoria's not feeling much well under the weather. So thoughts and prayers go out to Victoria. I hope she'll be back to the queen of the morning show where it should be as soon as her sickness takes place. Please pray for Victoria, huh? All right, just ahead, I have the verse of the day and the word of the day. We also have a look of what could this happen why was so amazing. My thoughts on the LSU Tigers baseball team's big win against Florida. But right now, as I'm getting you started off right, just a reminder, the 100th episode of the Morning News Headlines podcast is gone live. It's going to be taking place tomorrow morning, bright and early at 6 a.m. on my Spreaker. Come on by and say hello. It's going to be a 15-minute news, weather, finance, sports, and even everything from start to finish. You give me 15 minutes, I'll give you the world, and that is exactly respect. Make sure you subscribe to my podcast on wherever you get your favorite podcasting platform to choose from. That includes iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Odyssey, you name it. Simple as free, simple as task. All right, let's get on to the news, shall we? As we press on for you on this Tuesday morning. Here is what the wake-up call looks like. Consider this. Earth's axis is shifting, and we only have ourselves to blame, according to a new study. So it is Tuesday, June 27th. Here now, the news you need, getting up to speed and on with your day, starting with Trump. And, of course, the networks like CNN, NBC News, and others have obtained an audio recording of a 2021 meeting in which former president discusses holding secret documents or docs that he did not declassify. In the recording, he appears to be showing several people in the room of a classified Pentagon document with plans to attack Iran, which would contracted it, is his recent claims that he didn't have any sensitive papers with him at the time. So the recording is expected to be a central piece of the federal government's case against the former president. Earlier this month, he pleaded not guilty to 37 counts related to the allegedly mishandling of classified docs. And on July the 14th is set to take place. The next hearing is definitely in a case. The world is definitely watching. Next, Russian President Vladimir Putin and Wagner Group leader Yevgeny Prigozhin have both broken their silence after the paramilitary group's insurrection over the weekend. In a nationwide address yesterday, he said the mercenary fighters made the right decision by halting their advance, adding that the revolt would have been suppressed anyway, end quote. Meanwhile, he said this, I will get out of the way of the wonder theory, I promise you. He called off the uprising to prevent Russian bloodshed and that it was a protest, not an attempt to topple the government. And in a related development, Russia's Federal Security Service said today, it will drop the case against Wagner separately. Sources told CNN that the U.S. had advanced warning of Prigozhin's plans. Is yet another sign that the Americans is getting high-grade, accurate intelligence from inside Russia from Stephen Collison. You can see that video too as well. To whether nearly 45 million people across the U.S. are in the midst of a heat wave that's expected to worsen in the coming days. So in the South, a heat dome is taking place with creating dangerous conditions with Arizona, New Mexico, and Texas seeing temps in the 100s today. Meteorologists say the heat wave could continue through early next week, while large parts of the country are at risk of hotter than average temperatures over the next 3 months. Besides being widely uncomfortable, extreme heat has other implications. Power grid officials recently warned that 2/3 of North America could face blackouts this summer. Oh my! Just in case, here are a few tips to keep cool without AC. Speaking of that, ladies and gents, before we get back to the 5 things, my AC is finally stay on instead. It's just stay on. Now, Senate Democrats have released a new report on a January 6, 2021 attack on the U.S. Capitol, and is damning. In its assessment, lawmakers on the Senate Homeland Security Committee concluded that the attack was essentially planned in plain sight on social media, in quotes, and accused the FBI and the Department of Homeland Security of dropping the ball. The report includes new details about how top intelligence officials either ignored or dismissed clear signs of potential violence by pro-Trump actors, which left law enforcement unprepared for the events of the day. Still, the report pointed to Trump as a primary cause of the insurrection, in quotes, and a special counsel is currently overseeing a criminal investigation into the January 6th and efforts to overturn the election back in 2020 of the pandemic year. And last but not least for you on this Tuesday morning, the Supreme Court is allowing a congressional map for Louisiana to be redrawn to add another majority black district, lifting a hold on a lower court ruling. Republican lawmakers in Louisiana adopted a congressional map last year that made only one of its 6 districts majority black, even though a third of the state's population is the same thing, the word black. A lower court judge found that the map likely violated the Voting Rights Act and blocked it, but the Supreme Court froze the ruling while it decided a similar case in Alabama earlier this month, in which the court unexpectedly sided with black voters in the state. The rulings in the Peachtree State, or should I say the Pelican State, and Alabama State, 2 states of the model themselves, Louisiana and Alabama, could improve Democrats' odds of controlling the House in the next election. The judges are expected to decide on cases around affirmative action, LGBTQ rights, and other issues definitely taking place for this week. And happening today, Walt Utah, an aide charged alongside former President Trump for the allegedly mishandling of classified docs from the White House, is expected to plead not guilty to several charges in a federal court later this morning in Miami. He faces 6 counts, including several obstruction and concealment-related charges, stemming for the alleged conduct. All right, that's the 5 things you definitely need to know. What up to speed and on with your day. The breakfast browse for you, the Nobel Peace winning engineer whose discoveries led to the development of littering ion enough, died at the age of 100 today. The CDC is warning of malaria cases in Florida and Texas. You too can sport one of Princess Diana's most famous looks. Angela Bassett is getting an honorary Oscar, and a tourist was caught on camera carving his and his partner names into Colosseum. All right, $42.5 billion is how much federal funding will be distributed across America and territories for high-speed internet access, the White House said yesterday, is part of a push to close the country's digital divide. U.S. states and territories. That's why that's today's number. And with a quote as we're wrapping up, instead, the family of Derek Rupp, who was among those killed in the Club Q massacre in Colorado Springs, Colorado, and an audio recording played at the sentencing of the 23-year-old mass shooter, Anderson Lee Aldrich, was sentenced yesterday to 5 conservative life sentences without the possibility of a parole for the attack on the LGBTQ nightclub last year. We hope He'll never has another day of peace. All right, that's your Tuesday's 5 things. Back next Tuesday for more, same thing. Right now, it is 10 past the hour, which means it is time once again for Tuesday's Bible verse of the day with Phil Weir. Or Phil Witt, matter. Phil Witt. Here's the verse of the day, everybody.
Verse of the day for June 27th from John 1, verses 40 through 42. Andrew, Simon Peter's brother, was one of the two who heard what John had said and who had followed Jesus. The first thing Andrew did was to find his brother Simon and tell him, "We have found the Messiah," that is, the Christ, and he brought him to Jesus. I'm Phil Weir. Almost every time we see Andrew in the New Testament, he is bringing someone to meet Jesus. And aside from this truth and the fact that Andrew was Simon Peter's brother and a fisherman, we learn very little else about Andrew in our Bibles. But doesn't Andrew have the kind of reputation you'd like to have? And he brought him to Jesus. I want a reputation like Andrew of always bringing people to Jesus. Don't you? Let's pray. Oh God, you are our source of salvation. So I ask you to please bless me as I seek to share Jesus with my friends and family.
Yes,
please
it is.
Help me follow the example of Andrew, becoming someone who is always leading others to Christ. In Jesus' name I pray.
Amen. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, that is Phil Weir doing the verse of the day. For more on that, verseoftheday.com is the name of the website you always follow. Be on the lookout for today's verse. So once again, what Phil says, John chapter 1 with the verses of 40 through 42. Andrew, Simon Peter's brother, was one of the two who heard what John has said and who had followed Jesus. The first thing Andrew did was to find his brother Simon and tell him, "We have found the Messiah, that is the Christ," and he brought him to Jesus. John chapter 1 with the verses of 40 through 42. And next month, rather, too, it's my mom's birthday. Joan Perkins Meyer. He's my grandmother. Or should I say she's my grandmother, rather. She is my grandmother, ladies and gentlemen, and I promise to have the respect as always. So happy almost birthday, Ma. Mwah. And speaking of July 1st, if you're in Canada, our neighbors of the north, I will like to tell you that happy Canada Day. Almost the Canada Day weekend. It's set to not go far anyway anytime soon. So T-4 until their nation's birthday. I promise you. That's the verse of the day for this Tuesday, 27th day of April. And I want to see what the futures are set to taking place. But first, Dow, NASDAQ, and S&P are in the red to start the week. But it's going to be a very changes. The NASDAQ and S&P futures are remaining in the green, but the Dow futures, rather, is down 22 this morning. Be on the lookout for the opening bell is set to take place at 16 minutes time. That will be 16 minutes away until the bells is set to ring things up. But for now, I want to read some of the words that we're telling you about. This is from Yahoo Finance, and I want you all to respect this. All right. NASDAQ stock futures rose, signaling a rebound from recent losses as conviction mounts that the economic downturn may prove less severe than feared. So contracts on the tech-heavy benchmark added 4% after the index closed with a 1.4% loss on Monday, while Tesla advanced 1.3% in pre-market trading, while advanced micro devices, Amazon.com, and Meta platforms also definitely gained. Who is the shares tumbled as the company slashes earnings forecasts, citing less demand for COVID-related care. Walgreens. Yes, Walgreens. Moving the other markets overseas were relatively muted. The broader S&P 500 index rose 1%, while Europe's stock 600 index traded in the red after the ECB President Christine Lagarde dashed hopes of the imminent end to the interest rate hiking cycle. The garage is on the track for the 7th day of declines and the longest losing streak since 2018. Investors are coming to terms with the view that the Federal Reserves won't cut interest rates this year and other central banks will continue raising rates to quell inflation. Morgan State, or Morgan Stanley, economists said in a research noted yesterday, or should I say today, not just yesterday, but today, that they see the Fed hiking by 25 basis points next month. And on the positive side, there's growing speculation among investors that any recession may be shallower than expected. That view was reinforced by the latest data that showed durable goods orders rose more than expected in the month of May. And now, I want you all to tell me what the futures is set to see what they did. Rose 2% here in New York at 8:34 a.m., now 9:16. NASDAQ futures rose same thing with us 0.4%, but the futures in the red for the Dow futures 0.2 fell. 0.4 for the SOX Europe 600 fell, and the MSCI World Index definitely changed. With the currencies, the dollar spot index fell 2%, but the euro rose 4% to 1.09955. The British pound rose to 1% to $1.2730, 1 billion. The Japanese yen was a little change to 143.55 per dollar, and the offshore yen rose 4% to 72.135 per dollar. So once again, Dow is down this morning, but the NASDAQ and S&P futures are in the green column. The opening bell is set to take place at 13 minutes time, so be on the lookout for it as well. All right, just ahead, I have the opinion on the LSU Athletics' big wins. And who is the team who beat Florida yesterday? 11-4. Stay tuned and we'll tell you. Or should I say stay tuned and I'll tell you. But for now, it is Tuesday, which means it is time for the word of the day. Do I get it right? Word of the day for you on this Tuesday. Today's word is, I want you all to listen at this time, ladies and gentlemen.
Pungent.
That's right, pungent is typically describe things that have a strong, sharp taste or smell. It can also describe communication that has a strong effect on the mind because of being clever and direct. For instance, Tony likes and add pungent habaneros to her chill to give it an extra spicy kick. And the Emmy-nominated series is a pungent satire of today's political climate. The word is pungent, ladies and gentlemen. Pungent. Pungent. All right. It is now 8:19 in New Orleans, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, Shreveport, and surround towns. Good morning, Louisiana. I know you've all been thinking this is going to be a very good day to you in the Pelican state of the South. I know that the heat wave is not going far away anytime soon, but no, not in the South, not in the Louisiana spirit, or here in the Northeast, here in New York, there will be no heat wave, but it's going to be a very thunderstorm, and it's going to be a very clear one, I promise you. But let's get to facts. This is going to be a great day to be a Tiger, and this story is from USA Today Sports. The LSU baseball team ended its season at the same spot where it began, the number one team in the country, after defeating SEC's Florida by a score of 18 runs to 4 in Game 3 of the Men's College World Series Final in Omaha for its 7th national championship in the team's program history. Now, despite giving an MCWS record of 24 runs, the Tigers bounced back in the winner-take-all game last night, thanks to a dominant pitching performance by starter Thatcher Hurd and offensive production up and down the lineup, with every starting position player getting at least one hit. Wow. The Tigers out-hit the Gators 24-5 in a decisive game and forced the Sunshine State's Florida to use 6 pitchers after giving up a 2-run homer to Riot Langford in the bottom of the first. Hurd was unhittable, giving up just 2 first-inning hits and striking out 7. That's 7 in 6 amazing straight innings. You may see the video you quite like this from the Daily Advertiser, so I want you all at home to take a look of this amazing video. It's from the Daily Advertiser in Lafayette. Wow. My opinion is this: 2 thumbs up, representing the LSU Tigers. Big win. And whoever thought so many hits, so many runs, so many dives, so many amazing plays all over it. Those LSU Tigers is phenomenal. It's really crushes. It will not break everyone's hearts, but instead, I tell you what, you keep on tigering for sure. So, join me by wishing the LSU Tigers all come away to DC with Joe Biden later on. Congrats to LSU Tigers, definitely crushing Florida by a score of 18 runs to 4. And I tell you what, this could be this. Have faced Florida in the CWS Championship Series before. This is quoting from the New York Times. Since 2017, the Gators dispatched the Tigers in the sweep. With the 7 CWS titles, LSU has the second most behind the Southern California and is definitely 12. And guess what? It had been 14 years without a national title win for the Tigers of the SEC. But as the Tigers leaped into the dog pile last night, cameras definitely flashed. And I want you all to take a look what the tweets has been taking place. And it says, 10 hours ago, the Tigers are national championships or the national champions. The word is definitely powerhouse. So, let's say this. Wait for it. LSU football, LSU women's basketball, and now LSU baseball. There are 3 teams in the SEC so far, and they want to say a well-deserved congrats, a big congrats. And I want to say, take a listen to ESPN for that amazing, amazing play.
For Curland and then Langford. And this one is driven to left center field. Cruz is going back. He's still going back. Waits at the wall and makes the play. Oh, what a catch by Dylan Cruz at the wall. That's how you win a Golden Spikes Award, and it is largely considered the #1 overall pick in the country.
Tip your cap, because this is as good as it gets. This dude looks at the wall, then he peeks one more time. Now finish the playoff, kid! What a play by Dylan Cruz. The confidence to take your eye off the baseball just so you know exactly where you are. Then the fearlessness and athleticism to finish it off. That is a Golden Spikes play right there.
This one is also playable. There'll be no wall involved. Cruz is coming in. He's just catching everything. From deep in center field. I'm not even sure he was set in center field when that pitch was thrown, but he saw it. He got that one too.
Yes. Yes, yes, yes. That is an amazing one. But how about this one from Jordan Thompson, ladies and gentlemen, coming up clutch last night? Take a listen to ESPN if we can, please.
Position. That one was right down the middle. That's a terrible hop over Halter. And a huge break for the Tigers. As the run scores, Joe bears in. Down to second goes Thompson. And everything that went wrong for Thompson yesterday is going right for him today.
He was due some hitters luck, right? I mean, this one's hit hard, don't get me wrong, but it's hit right at Chloe Alter, and it hits just in front of that lip and goes straight up. Expected a different hop, throw balls all the way home. You see right over his shoulder. And that was going to be a tough play anyway because how hard it was hit. But it took that hop.
Wow. So Coach Jay Johnson said after the game, said this, probably most impressive than winning the national championship, that they were national champions every single day. These guys have massive expectations all season long, and they met them every day. Ladies and gentlemen, as the Mornings with Marcel and Friends comes to an end, I have to tell you, the LSU Tigers has crushed Florida with a national title with a score of 18-4. Forever LSU. Shouts to Andrea Kay. She is the darling of evening progressive radio. She is a diehard LSU Tigers fan and a true friend of mine. It is now 9:30. Time to sign off. Thank you so much for joining me. My name is Marcel Marek. I'll see you right back here next Tuesday morning for more of Mornings with Marcel and Friends. Or should I say, I'm not going to be on Mornings with Marcel and Friends. Come back the other Tuesday, July the 14th, for more. In the meantime, forever LSU, and see you then. Bye-bye.